it's an incredibly sad day, not least for the people of Gibraltar, because the Prince was a great admirer of Gibraltar, and as we saw in his obituary film just now, a frequent visitor to Gibraltar. And for me personally, and if I may speak personally, he was an astonishing naval officer. He absolutely loved the Navy. And I shall never forget the day in 2011, unbeknownst to him, when Her Majesty the Queen made him Lord High Admiral, one of the great 9 officers of state in the United Kingdom. And the Duke was completely bowled over because that office had been held by former sovereigns for as long as time can tell. And that honour bestowed on him by Her Majesty the Queen personally epitomised his life. And I think Sir John Major recently, earlier today, when he said that the Duke epitomised the British spirit. And I think that is a very wise way of summing up a life devoted to service and loyalty to Her Majesty the Queen. So an incredibly sad day, and for the Royal Navy, of which I was also a proud member, it is a very sad day to have lost an officer of such high calibre.
And as the representative of the Queen in Gibraltar, your thoughts for her as well?
My sympathies go to Her Majesty. The Duke has been her loyal consort and her husband for so many years. And he, alongside the Queen, has epitomised the Elizabethan era in the United Kingdom, and what that means not just to the United Kingdom, but to the United Kingdom around the world. The two of them together have been the presentation of the United Kingdom, Gibraltar and all the other overseas territories and realms across the world. They have epitomised everything that is good of this UK family of nations.
How will the convent be commemorating his death here on the Rock?
Well, it won't be just the convent. Tomorrow at midday, Gibraltar, with the help of the Royal Gibraltar Regiment, will fire a 41-gun salute from the naval base, 1 shot every minute to mark the Duke's passing. And then on Monday morning, the Chief Minister and I will sign at 10 to 9 in the morning a condolence book at the entrance to the convent. And then afterwards that condolence book will be open to members of the public to come along and express their condolences on the loss of His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh.
And if people want to sign that condolence book, how can they do it?
In person, we will be observing social distancing as best we are able. And if they wish to come along maintaining that social distancing, they can come and sign it in person.
And that book will eventually make its way to the royal family?
Yes, we've been given special dispensation all around the world. British embassies and missions have been asked to do everything online. But because of the low rates of infection from the coronavirus in Gibraltar, and I suppose because of the esteem in which Gibraltar is held within the family of the United Kingdom nations, I asked permission to have our own condolence book, and that has been granted by London. And once that's closed in a week's time, we will send it with an appropriate letter to Her Majesty the Queen at Buckingham Palace.
Well, I think like many Gibraltarians, I had the privilege of speaking to the Duke of Edinburgh, and anybody who was in his presence understood that he had a very fond place for Gibraltar in his heart. In the room in which we are, he would have spent many happy hours during his many visits to Gibraltar, and there was a special link between the Rock and the Duke of Edinburgh, which I know we're very proud of, and I could sense that he was very fond of.
You say you met him yourself personally. What was he like?
Well, he was, as you know from the references there are to him, he was somebody who immediately broke the ice with you, somebody who made you feel at ease. I last saw him at a Royal Marines event in London at the Royal Albert Hall, and of course the Royal Marines have Gibraltar in their cap badge, and he was the Commandant General. So it was a moment where Gibraltar was very present, and the minute he was told that he was speaking to the Chief Minister of Gibraltar, the first question was, "How's my convent?" And I think that demonstrates that we were something that was very present in his mind and in his heart.
How do you think the people of Gibraltar will be taking the news of his death today?
Well, I think we feel and we are very close to the British royal family. I think the epitome of Britishness for Gibraltar is represented by the royal family and the proximity that we feel with Her Majesty the Queen. And in the context of reflecting on the work that the Duke of Edinburgh has done, the fact that he actually came to Gibraltar, at that time was sent because he was not a Duke of Edinburgh as husband of the Queen then. The Queen had not yet acceded the throne, but he was sent here in 1950 and he delivered those words in our Legislative Council when it was opened, the beginning of real self-government on the rock. I think there you can see that link really developing, and the words that the Duke of Edinburgh used at that first meeting of the Legislative Council in Gibraltar have really reverberated across the decades and have led to the growth of self-government in Gibraltar as we've seen it, which are the references that he made. So I don't think the links could have been closer. I don't think we could feel closer to the British royal family than we do. And today, therefore, we share their sadness and we send them our warmest best wishes, because apart from losing a member of the hierarchy of government in Gibraltar, we are also very conscious that they've lost a beloved member of their family.
We've just heard from the Governor, Sir David Steele, that that book of condolences will be ready to sign next week. You'll be signing it yourself. We have that 41-gun salute tomorrow. How will the government of Gibraltar be commemorating the life of Prince Philip?
We want to ensure that we act in keeping with the right manner of mourning a member of the British royal family. Being a part of the British family of nations means that we will observe the same guidance that is given to the whole of the British family of nations on how we must mourn the Duke of Edinburgh, and I'm sure that we'll be able to find a specific way of communicating to Her Majesty the Queen the depth of our sadness and our condolences to her.